Before we start today's video, I'm gonna talk about something very, very serious that if you enjoy cars, you enjoy driving cars, you enjoy working on cars, you should listen up to because this will affect you. There's a new act right now from the EPA that they're trying to ban all parts that are performance oriented towards cars. Essentially, what they're claiming is they're trying to say that any performance part added to a car makes it a race car, whether it's actually being raced or not. If you put an intake on your car, it is now a race car, and they're trying to forbid that completely. This is only for the US, but as you could imagine, this will affect many people outside of the US. A bunch of the brands that we love today who make all those performance parts are based out of the US. And if this act goes through, it will shut all of them down, which means it will spread and reach people outside of the US and will shut down and cancel and pretty much just destroy things like Formula Drift and other racing series that you and I love to watch. This will also affect people like me, people like you who just want to work on their cars and enjoy building them, but now this will be a federal law and it will affect all states. So what you can do to fight against this is click the links down below and support the RPM Act. This is an act that is trying to fight against this ludicrous law that they are trying to enforce on us. And with enough of us reaching out, we can make a difference. So take a few minutes of your time. It really isn't that difficult. Click the links down below, sign the petition, fill out your information, and tell your local congressman that this is not okay. This is a pretty scary thing for the car community, and it's something that the car community has been battling for a really long time. The EPA just announced that they are making this a top priority for them this year. So support the RPM Act and sign the link down below. Oh, that's a big box. Ooh, what's in the box? How are you gonna get it in though?
We're not. I think we gotta open it here and then put the wheels on. Yeah, I don't think we can.
Oh, all right, let's open it up.
The door, yeah.
Let's just open it up. So as you guys can tell from the title of this video, we have something very, very exciting for the Mustang today. Now this is something that I was waiting to tell you guys because I didn't want to give you the whole entire plans of the car, but today we have a huge crate from our friends over at Roadster Shop. If you guys are not familiar with Roadster Shop, don't feel alone because I didn't know who they were a few months ago either. Honestly, as you guys know, the classic cars, the old muscle cars, that's not really a scene that I've ever really been too interested to, nor do I have much experience with. So when I first got the Mustang, I started talking to a bunch of people, started talking to Mickey about this, started talking to my friends over at Magnaflow who deal with a lot more classic cars than I do. They were saying something you should look into is a chassis swap from Roadster Shop. They gave me this spiel. They said Roadster Shop makes pretty much exactly what it sounds like, chassis swaps for cars to give them a modern feel, to give them modern suspension geometry, a way better driving experience rather than having a car that's 40, 50 years old. You can have modern technology and just have the body of the car sit on top of it. And that's exactly what we have today. We have the spec chassis from Roadster Shop. We're gonna go through it. Comes in this huge, obnoxiously large crate, and we are going to be swapping this on the Mustang because we can't put a 500 horsepower RB26 on the chassis of the Mustang. That's from 50, 40 years ago. It'd be cool, but the car drives like shit. So this will allow the car to not drive like shit and just feel awesome. I'm gonna interrupt this video to give you guys a tip trick from Valvoline that you guys should be utilizing, but you're probably not. As you guys know, I use Valvoline products in all of my cars, and I would never use anything else. Not only is Valvoline the best, but they are also America's original motor oil brand, which is why I choose to run them in all of my cars. Valvoline is there to help you guys make your life easier when it comes to taking care of your cars, which is why they have the amazing product finder on their website. The product finder allows you to enter year and make and model of your car and specify a few custom details if needed, and then it outputs what oils and fluids you should be using in your car. Everything from motor oil to coolants to even diff fluids, gear oils, anything of that sort, the product finder can do that for you. You never have to second guess what is the right fluids and what is the wrong fluids. Just click the links down below in my bio and take advantage of that product finder and find the right Valvoline oil for you. Whether it's race cars, track cars, daily cars, or diesel cars, they have it all. Use the product finder down below and click the links. Thank you so much for Valvoline for being an amazing partner and for making our lives easier. Let's get back to today's video. So what you guys didn't know is that last week I dropped the car off here at Rad Industries. Rad Industries is located here in Santa Ana, California. It's where I do all of my Jay-Z stuff. I had this car dropped off here because we have so much stuff going on and I really want this project to be right and go smooth and be like pretty much a fast timeline. So Rad Industries is gonna be taking care of the fabrication for the motor swap and pretty much just making it a race car for the street. I know you guys are peeking in the background. The motor's already been dropped out of this car. They said that this thing was a very, very tight squeeze, but it is stripped. There is no more Cleveland in this car, and now we have room for the RB26, but before the RB26 goes in, the new chassis has to go in, and I'll show you how that's gonna happen. Oh, she's gonna go. Oh, there.
Don't die, TJ.
Wow.
So you told you it came with brake lines?
Yeah, there's a brake line kit and everything. So with the spec chassis kit, I also ordered the full brakes with it. So we have 6-piston Willwoods in the front, and I believe 4-piston Willwoods in the rear.
These are rears.
Never assembled rears like this.
These are big boys.
That's a big girl. Oh, it's just the rears in the box. So this is one of the coolest things to me about this whole entire chassis. So as you guys know, this is a unibody, which I think some of you are like, how are you gonna get rid of the chassis underneath the car if it's a unibody? You can't just take it apart like some of the older cars. This is a bolt-on chassis, so literally, you have to modify the original chassis or the original car just a little bit, which you'll see in future videos, but this is a quick diagram of a like full instruction on how to do everything. So if you were to do this by yourself, it really isn't that difficult. It's phenomenal. I love how they actually give detailed instructions. I talk about this every time whether we're doing a body kit or whether we're doing a certain install that we've never done before. When they provide actual detailed instructions, that just makes the product and makes the user experience a million times better. So love to see that. And something really cool that it came with is it has a little chassis plate number that you can put on the car. We are 4949. That's a pretty cool chassis number.
This is like a new car.
It is.
It is all 6 pistons.
So remember when I said it's 4-piston rears? I was wrong. 6-piston fronts, 6-piston rears. That's pretty gnarly. Very, very rad. All right, with all of the wheels on the car, well, actually -1. On one of them, we actually got the wrong spindle. Willwood sent us the wrong one. So we're gonna be getting that overnighted. We're only able to put 3 wheels on right now. So we're gonna roll this into the shop, or try to drag it into the shop. Put it underneath the car, because that's where it's going to live for the next couple days until all the mounts get made and it gets bolted in. This thing is amazing. Seeing a chassis just laying on the ground like this is super rad. One thing that looks kind of odd to me, it looks like it's not that wide. Do you feel like that? Or is that just me, Mark?
I think it was...
Like the width, like just because it's older, I guess? I don't know, I mean...
it's just because it's underneath the car. It's like, if you look underneath the Supra, it's the width. The width isn't that wide.
I know, it's just weird seeing it like this. I'm trying to imagine a car behind it. I don't know. I'm just being weird. It just looks really funky seeing a chassis on the ground with no car on it. So there are some initial chassis modifications or body modifications that need to be done to the Mustang. Both the shock towers need to be cut out, and then you can actually kind of see here that the frame rail of the car is gonna slip through this hole, and it's almost like a C-clamp design. So this all unbolts, and it bolts onto the rails of the car, and then that creates the new like inner shock tower design. And then there are bolt holes along the sides of the chassis that all come together. So all this old junk will drop and the new one bolts into it.
You know what? We don't have to disassemble that motor.
But I want to use that for, okay, hold on. A really interesting idea that I don't necessarily want to do, but it is a cool idea, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to think. So right over here, look at this beautiful motor. Damn, does this motor look familiar to any of you watching? It should, because it's ours. This is our first motor that was in our 350 when we blew it like, I don't even know, maybe like a year ago, something like that. And I had the whole entire motor rebuilt, and it has Brian Cower internals. Now, I was gonna put this back into my 350. I'm only running my 350 at like 650 horsepower, and then a motor that's in that car would be my spare motor. So, cool idea is technically, if we didn't wanna go with the RB26, we could put that JZ into this car, because it would fit. It would be a little bit easier, and we'd be able to make more power, because the RB26, to make 1,000 horsepower, is like way more complicated, which is why they're not the most popular motor, or JDM motor, to make that much power. We're only planning to make like 500 horsepower in the RB26, which is still a lot. But anything above that, it just like opens up a wormhole. It's like almost as dramatic as like the rotary world in making power. Like it is just, no one has, I don't know how to explain it. It's just not as reliable. I guess we'll just say it that. It's not as reliable. So we could just throw the JZ motor in there and make 1,000 horsepower and make it gnarly and just go a way different direction. But I know you guys want to see the RB26. At least I want to see the RB26. It'd be cooler to do the RB26. But it is kind of, it's tempting, because we literally just have that motor sitting there, and we could just throw that motor in there and it would make no difference to us because we have all the parts to support both. I don't know, just a cool thought.
Stroker, non-VVTi, high compression, and then non-stroker, 3-liter high compression VVTi. I mean, like, I don't even know. We'll put 2 of them in there.
It's 3,000.
What's this motor on the pallet over here?
Trash.
Something up.
Damn.
No,
the JZ Master.
Well, it is an inline 6 and it's turbo, so that's like my favorite thing. But
we were literally just talking, like, dude, how much quicker would this build go if we just threw in that motor in the car? It goes so quick and make twice the power.
It won't.
This build has it, unless the comments are like that drastic, we have to do the RB26.
You're in it, you got to do it now, but we're just playing with the idea. It would be pretty fun to do that, and it would be easy to do.
It would be super easy. What are your thoughts on this chassis? Because this is
On
what I
the
was kind of
chassis
explaining.
chassis?
Yeah, just this is not around that I know, like, because everything that I've ever done is like mainly older JDM, and this is like you were saying, it's kind of beyond what you've ever like touched.
We like always have done unibody JDM cars, and like, so I've like Googled stuff like this and looked into it, because like, fun fact, I've always wanted to get like an AC Cobra, which is like, but a replica one, which has like literally this, and put a JZ in it, but leave the outside, you know, like all,
Yeah.
you know, and show up to like a car meet with old dudes and be like, oh, cool. And then like, wait, what have you done? So like, I did think about doing this before, and I like studied them. So this is really cool. Never got to see one in person, so it's all new to me too. It's a really nice part though. Like, everything is just legit on it.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's really cool to see how simplified the rear end is. I mean, I know we're not putting it in today, but this thing will probably go in literally in the next day or two. The front, you have to modify some of the body just to kind of get all that to fit. And you can see there's like the runner channels on the chassis right there, and you can see the runners underneath where it fits, and you cut some of it out. But the rear end is a completely different car. I mean, this whole thing is naked, and the diff, the axles, the brake, the suspension, everything, the geometry, it's all different, and it just fits in underneath it. Bonkers crazy. All right, well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. We have to run home and split, but that's how this build series is gonna go, because we're not the ones doing the wrenching on the motor swap and the chassis swap. I'm gonna probably come up here and try to do one video a week with that car, just to kind of update the process and show you guys until we take it home and we take it to the dyno and all that type of stuff. Big shout out to Roadster Shop, because that is probably one of my favorite things about this build, beyond the RB26 swap, is that once that chassis is in, this Mustang is gonna drive and feel like a modern day car, but you're gonna have the body of an old 65. That's just so cool.